So the first type of variation we're going to look at is direct variation. So if we let x and y denote two quantities, then y is directly proportional to x, or y varies directly with x, if there is a non-zero number k such that y is equal to k times x. And this k is our proportionality constant. And so it's also called the constant variation. So the constant of proportionality, that's what's relating y to k, is this constant, okay? So for example, let y be directly proportional to x or vary directly with x. And so, we're going to have the y equals k times x. So suppose y is 9 when x is 6. Now we want to find what y is when x is equal to 13. Okay, well, what we have to do is probably best thing to do is solve for k. So again, our general rule, which I wrote up here, is this. Step two, we're going to substitute 9 for y and 6 for x because they give it to us. And then we can solve for k. So we plug in those and we end up getting k is equal to 9 over 6 or 3 over 2, depending on how you want to look at it. Okay, so we're going to replace that into the equation. And so 9x over 6. And now we want to find when x is 13. So we plug in 13 for x. So multiply it all together. And again, if we multiply instead of by 9/6, we can make it a little easier than taking 9 times 13. We can go 3 halves. So that's going to be what? 39 over 2, which is 19 and a half. Okay. So that's, I would say, best thing to do is, even though it says 9/6, I would replace it with 3 halves instead and make it a little bit simpler on yourself. All right, another example. So the table lists the amount of pay for various hours worked. So, for 6 hours, it's $138. 11 is 253, 15, and so on. And what they want us to do is find the constant of proportionality. Okay. Well, this looks to be a y equals k times x again. And if we think about this, if you remember y equals mx plus b, this m is going to be our constant proportionality. Now, and if you think about this, if you work 0 hours, how much you're going to get paid? You're going to get paid $0. So in this case, b is going to be 0 for our constant for our equation, and all we have to do is find m, our slope, to get our constant proportionality. So what we can do is we can use two numbers. Say we use this one and this one, or we could use 15 and 11 or whatever it is. But if we usually use the ones that are furthest apart, that's usually the best. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, use that first one and we use the last one, and we need to find the slope. Now, do we remember how to find the slope? Well, remember, it's the change in y over the change in x. And so we're going to take the change in y, this y minus this y, divided by the change in x minus xx, this x. And when we do that, we end up with 23. So that means we have the uh, m is equal to that, and that's equal to 23. So we had y equals mx plus b, which was 0. So really, we end up with y equals 23x. Okay. So the amount of pay per hour is going to be $23 per hour. So when we look at our table, if we go back here, for every hour we go up, we get an increase of $23. And so, it's not going up by just 1 hour ever, but that's how it's going to work. And so to find the pay for 19 hours, we're just going to take 19 times 23 to get our y, and that gives us $437 if we work 19 hours. Okay, so that's going to be how we're going to use this. So we have to kind of remember multiple things. We have to remember, what is the equation for slope? We have to know that that's a proportionality constant, and that, in this case, our b is going to be 0 because they don't give us 0 in our table. But if you're working 0 hours, you're going to make $0. And so that's why we say it's going to be 0. And so we just have this simple y equals 23x after we've found the change in y over change in x. And then we can plug in any value for this. So if we wanted to find the pay after 40 hours, we'd take 40 times the 23 and get our value. Okay. All right, let's stop there and we'll come back for another type.